The sun was just setting on a warm February evening in 1978 as I pulled into the remote area of Del Puerto Canyon in California. I was called to investigate a crime that would shake me to my core, a case that would linger in my mind for years to come. Mary Vincent, a 15-year-old girl, had vanished without a trace after hitchhiking. Her last known whereabouts were in the company of a man in a blue van. The search teams had combed the area for days, but it was a hiker who would finally stumble upon a scene that would haunt us all. When I arrived at the site, the air was thick with tension. I approached Mary, who was barely alive, stumbling out of the woods, covered in dirt and blood. She was in shock, her eyes wide and terrified. I felt a knot form in my stomach as I noticed the bandages wrapped around her forearms. The sight was unimaginable. She had lost both arms to a brutal attack. Mary had been picked up by Lawrence Singleton, a man who seemed harmless enough at first, but turned out to be a monster. The details she shared with me were horrific. He had driven her into the canyon, where he attacked her with an axe, not just violently assaulting her, but severing her arms, leaving her for dead. The cold precision of his actions was chilling. As I gathered evidence and interviewed Mary, I learned that she had fought back with every ounce of strength she had. After he left her for dead, she managed to crawl for miles, pressing her stumps into the dirt to staunch the bleeding. Mary Vincent was a fighter, and her determination to survive became a central theme in this harrowing investigation. Once Mary was safe, I turned my focus to Singleton. We quickly tracked him down to a nearby home where he was staying. The interviews with the neighbors painted a picture of a man with a dark past. He had served time for a previous assault, and despite the warning signs, he was back in society, free to prey on innocent victims. I felt a mix of anger and frustration as I delved into Singleton's background. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became that he was a predator who had eluded justice before. With Mary's testimony, I felt a glimmer of hope that we could finally bring him to justice. But the case took a turn when Singleton's defense claimed that Mary was responsible for her own attack, arguing that she had lured him into a trap. The courtroom was tense, filled with whispers and gasps as the defense painted a twisted narrative. Mary, now a symbol of resilience, took the stand. She recounted her horrifying ordeal in vivid detail, her strength undeniable, even in the face of such horror. The evidence was compelling. The axe found at the scene, the blood spatter, and Mary's unwavering testimony painted a damning picture. Yet, the trial was grueling. Singleton, cold and unrepentant, played the victim in his own twisted way. Despite the overwhelming evidence, the verdict was a disappointment. Singleton received a sentence of just 14 years, the maximum allowed at the time. I couldn't shake the feeling of injustice. Mary had been through hell, and yet the man who had nearly taken her life would walk free. Years passed, and the memory of the trial lingered in the community. But in a shocking twist, Singleton was released after serving only 8 years. He returned to society, his freedom a constant threat. The fear that gripped the town was palpable. Everyone knew the monster was back on the streets. In 1997, Singleton struck again. This time, he brutally murdered Roxanne Hayes, a mother of 3. It was a chilling reminder of the failure of the justice system. Singleton was arrested once more, but this time he faced a jury with a long history of violence against women. As I reflect on this case, I remember Mary Vincent not just as a victim, but as a survivor, a testament to human resilience in the face of unspeakable horror. She fought back against the darkness, and her story became a rallying cry for those who believe in justice.